Hi everybody, this is Jamal from Jay's Internet Solutions. Welcome to the second episode of Jay's TV. Today we are going to talk about Web 2.0. What does this term really mean? Before I get into the term, I want to look at how shift happens. There's a video on the internet called Shift Happens, which shows how things have changed in the world over the last couple of years. So one example is when we had to send a message to someone in another country, it would be taken by, by horse or by donkey or whatever means of transport, and then we moved over to, to rail and other means of transport, and then we had eventually we got to the fax machine, which sped up things a lot, and now we've got email and instant messaging. You can send a message now to someone, irrespective of how large the message is. You can send that message to someone in a different part of the world literally in seconds, right? So just on communication, there's one small example of how things have changed. To illustrate change and the way shift happens, I want to give you a little story about my dad, who always swore he'd never use a cell phone. So when cell phones became popular and we all started to use them, my dad never wanted one. He always refused, and he said he doesn't need it. And then it got to a point where his business required him to have a cell phone because he was on the road and he needed to be contactable. And very funny thing what happened, after he was using a cell phone for a couple of years, his cell phone didn't work one night. And we didn't know what was the problem, if it was the battery or some other error on the phone. And he made me actually go and buy him a new phone that night, so that the next day he would be sure that he had a cell phone for work. Because he didn't know how long it would take to repair his old one. So that's a small example of how change is thrust upon us, and it really changes the way we do things and the way we sort of live our lives. And we're going to get into Web 2.0 in a second, but I want to talk about quickly Small is the New Big. This is a book by Seth Godin, and he illustrates how small business is the new big thing, right? So in the past, a large corporation was sort of the goal of every person. After school you want to work for this major corporation, and now that has changed. People are now leaving corporates. So every entrepreneur that I've spoken to who has left a corporate to start their own business, I always ask them the same question: will you go back to the corporate world? And they always say no, right? So if that corporate world is where everyone wanted to go first, and now everyone is leaving there, then that's a big change, right? Also, there's a very good book by Thomas Friedman called The World is Flat. And he explains in this book a lot of these concepts also of how things have changed, and how there's no more sort of the gatekeepers that there used to be. I'm doing this TV series, and it can be picked up by producers, by anyone all over the world, because it's live. It's not live, but it's on the internet. It's public, and there are no more gatekeepers to get to other people who are sort of important people who you want to reach. So that has changed a lot. Also, there's something called Weconomics, and all of these books that I'm showing you, like I said in the previous episode, we are going to have read parts of these books and explain them. And I'm passionate about reading, and as I show you these books, if you can get them, it will be sort of useful to you. There are many books out there, but some of them I really sort of recommend, and these are the ones that I'll talk about and show you. And Weconomics, the sort of tagline here says how mass collaboration changes everything. Now, first, mass collaboration or collaboration in itself would be seen as a weakness. That has changed. The only way really to do business, in my opinion, today is to collaborate. Even Apple and Google, who are competitors in some instances, collaborate in other instances. So that's a big change, and that's going to grow. I really think that collaboration is going to be a big part of how business is done in the future. And getting back to Web 2.0, the web has changed. We were in the era of Web 1.0, but at the time we didn't call it that. We just called it the internet. And in 2004, at an O'Reilly Media Conference, the term Web 2.0 was coined. And basically, they used the term sort of, not knowing that the term would take on and the web would really sort of expand into the way we know it today. The web, as it was before in the Web 1.0 era, was really one-dimensional. There was no conversation. It was like a brochure type of scenario where you would read something, get information, and there would be value in that, but there would be no conversation. There would be no opinion. There would be no discussion about topics, about brands, about businesses, and it was one-dimensional. And now the web has changed into being multi-dimensional. Every website that has a sort of a conversational mechanism is powerful now. That's why blogging is powerful. We're going to get into blogging in the later episodes, sort of understanding what blogging is and then developing blogging strategies and how to use a blog for your business. So we're going to get into all of that. So blogging is very powerful and it's very popular because of the conversation mechanism of it, and the nature of blogging is sort of informal business speak. It is professional, but it's very informal, as business is today. So there's another book called Flip, which I don't have with me today, but this book explains 4 things that have changed. And one thing the author mentions is that business has become very personal, right? That's another change as well. Also, in the Web 1.0 world, the content was owned by the content provider, right? So if I had a website and I own the website, I own the content on that website, and I would provide that content to my readership and my audience. In a Web 2.0 world, the content is, all of it or most of it is user generated, right? So if you think of Facebook, Facebook is at the moment heading to be the biggest website in the world. And Facebook is also, as many times in the recent past, surpassed Google in traffic, right? Monthly traffic. So Facebook is a huge website, but none of the content that we view on Facebook is provided by Facebook. It's provided by myself. It's provided by you, and this is what's called user-generated content. Twitter is the same, right? If you take all the users away from Twitter, then Twitter is a blank page, right? There's nothing going on there because it's all about the content that we put on the site, right? So this is a very big shift to understand, and this is how Web 2.0 sort of has its impact and power. If you look at YouTube as well, YouTube is the world's second biggest search engine. Okay, it's also been termed as a video encyclopedia. You can find actually videos on every single topic that you can think of. You can find it on YouTube. How to make food, how to fix your car, how to do all sorts of things. People take the time to put a camera in front of them, and you don't even need an expensive camera, right? You get very cheap cameras that sort of you can use to put videos up on YouTube, and people are sharing this. This is user-generated content. People have become superstars via YouTube, and we all know of these examples. Flickr is the same. People are uploading thousands of photos on a daily basis from all over the world, and these websites gain popularity, they gain value, and they become sort of big businesses because of user-generated content. Okay, and like we said earlier on the book of economics about mass collaboration, this is collaboration. It's collaboration between the website owner and the public, right? So these are all sort of things that we have to take into consideration when thinking and trying to understand what Web 2.0 is. Another aspect is that size does not matter, right? So in a Web 2.0 world, you don't need a big company, you don't need a big building with thousands of employees. There's many examples of websites that are home-based, that have 2 or 3 employees, that have sort of that have huge value on the internet, and they valued at millions of dollars. So that's another big shift. And I'm trying to explain these concepts so that, because I'm passionate about business, and I'm passionate about helping small businesses get established and to grow. So if you own a small business, or if you intend starting a small business, these concepts are important for you to understand so that you can grow and expand your business. Then there's the app culture, which is a big part of Web 2.0. So people aren't buying products, software products that cost 10,000 Rand or $10,000, but they're buying little apps like Apple's App Store. People are buying apps that cost $1, that cost $2, and millions of people are buying these apps. So the creator of the app makes millions of dollars by selling lots of product, lots of apps to lots of people at a low cost. So Web 2.0, my latest favorite book is called Web 2.0, a strategy guide. It's published by O'Reilly Media, and O'Reilly is, like I said in the beginning of this episode, is the term Web 2.0 was founded at an O'Reilly conference in 2004. So over the next couple of weeks and months, we are going to go very deep into the concepts found in this book. They're very detailed. Some of them get into technical matters, but we're going to take it slow, and we're going to get into that and explain to you how Web 2.0 affects you, number one, and how it can help you to grow and expand your business. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. We'll be back tomorrow with what is social media. And until then, crush it.